So it's pretty clear that the Final Fantasy XV Royal Edition has been making some hell of a stirs amongst the community. It's been getting people riled up and very worked up that they're going to be able to shelling out extra money. And I wanted to cover this story, first of all, to say and publicly shout $19.99 was a mistake. Square Enix clarifies. So I did the previous video. I spoke about what that price tag was, how that was way too steep, especially for the people getting the full edition with Comrades, the original game, the season pass, all for $50. And that $10 needed to be shifted off of that pass for already us season pass holders and shifted onto the Royal Edition. And yes, Square Enix have come out and said it was a mistake. It was added as an erroneous error. Which I'm going to say, this has happened more than once. Square Enix have released public information to the West. That has got people riled up, and then they've come out and said it's a mistake. The last one to happen was the Windows edition, where they announced the specs. I think it was the hard drive space. It was something absolutely insane through the roof. Even the graphics cards you needed were like £700 bad boys. And then Square Enix said that was the specs they were using during the demo. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover. But this next bit is something I want to show you guys because it put into perspective for me how this is being perceived by most people. So while I don't like comparing a game like Final Fantasy XV, a graphical, technological, monolithic giant of a game, the open world, the weather effects, it wasn't a text-based descaled game. It was a huge open world that went for realism and grandeur, like the summons, for example. Even just the Leviathan fight, that took them something like 3 months. So comparing it to a text-based descaled game, which I think often gets done in the Final Fantasy franchise, we always talk about how much content did games like 7, 8 and 9 had, and they never had DLCs, and they never had any of these delays or issues. And I see what people are saying, but on the same side, you have to just admit, games are not as easy as they were. They're not as easy and or cheap. And that's not just me saying that. That's literally Square Enix saying it. Gitase Nomura, when they did a big 7 oral history interview, even they said they could change scenes on the fly. They could change entire chapters of the game. And in fact, they even did it close to launch. They changed the whole thing about Zack. They added all of that in. Whereas something like Final Fantasy XV, just to change one scene, would take them something insane like 2 to 3 months. So I don't like the comparison, but alas, anyway, I'm going to show you guys what got sent through to me on my Twitter by Mr. if I can goddamn find it, Callian Palace. And it's this right here. So let's quickly cover this. If Final Fantasy VII had followed the same 15 DLC structure, this is what it kind of would have looked like. So back on the release, the backstories for Cloud, or just before release, backstories for Cloud, Barrett, Tifa and Aerith, cut from the main game. Aerith? Who the fuck is that? I think they mean Aerith. And released as an anime miniseries. Don't necessarily dislike that. I think that might have been pretty cool, FF7 as an anime series. But I get the point being, you kind of want all of your story in the game and you want to experience the full adventure. So moving on, and it's something that most casual gamers will miss. Most people who just picked up 15, they didn't even know what anime or Kingsglaive was. So I definitely see the errors in not having it in the game, but I also think it's quite cool that Square Enix are considering other mediums of telling games. In the future with 16, if they want to do animes or movies again, I am more than down for that. But provided that the game still has substance, and maybe even a recap, a fleshing out. I don't think that just because we saw the anime, backstory of a lot of our characters, that we couldn't have still seen it in the game. Prompto, for example, he had plenty of backstory. It wasn't just the anime. It wasn't just but moving on anyway. So July 1997, the Midgar escape sequence is cut from the main game and released as a CGI movie. It's so true. It's so true. Moving on next, so January 31st, 1997, main game released. Cloud is the only playable character. Moving into February 1998, Gold Saucer not in main game. Available as a limited time event. Obviously that is shouting out to the Chocobo Moogle Carnival. About one of the only places you could go for frivolous mass gamage. Yeah, This really, like I said, this really put in perspective for me. So moving on, $25 season pass required, which will have episode Barrett released, which contains the Coral prison scene where Barrett confronts Dine. Also included will be episode Tifa released. Learn what Tifa was doing while Clad was sick with Mako poisoning in mid-deal. 1998 update released that allows you to buggy off-road. Obviously, a shout out to the Regalia Type D that we were all excited for. I guess people are saying you shouldn't be excited for this stuff. The game shouldn't have been on rails in the first place. It shouldn't have been on such a narrow, unable to explore rails. And then next, December 98, episode Aerith. Learned what happened while Aerith was doing while separated from the party in Disc 1. And the December 98 update release that allows you to play as the full party. Finished by FF7 Royal Edition. Features including a bigger Midgar to explore when you go there for the first time at the end, access to the submarine, ability to fight Ruby, Emerald, Diamond, Cloud's Omni / Limit Break, which wasn't in the game, is released. Let's talk about the Royal Edition. We're getting the Armiger mode. And requires an extra $20 to unlock these, even if you already own the main game, and $25 season pass. There'll also be a additional content later in 99 that will cost extra, even if you buy the Royal Edition. I definitely see the parallels, and yeah, when I look at that, if Final Fantasy was released like that, horrific. The whole game would have been ruined, the whole experience. I don't think it would have been considered a masterpiece, and perhaps that is the reason why 15 isn't considered a masterpiece by the wider gaming audience. Now, I know there are some people, and I'm glad, and I wouldn't want anyone to take that feeling away from you that 15 was a masterpiece, if that's how you feel. But by and large, it's nowhere near regarded the legend of a game that Final Fantasy VII was. Now, again, like I said, I see the differences between a game like 15 and a text-based D-scale 1997 20-year-old goddamn game, but there is some element of truth in the fact that to enjoy the full experience, I mean, that's the point that is being made here, that if the full experience of Final Fantasy VII had to be experienced through such a tedious, exhaustive medium, and you had to be shelling out so much money and almost trying to piece the game yourself. I'm sympathetic towards people who bought this game as a whim. You know, I've never played Final Fantasy. What's the hype about this franchise? Let me get this game so I can experience what everyone's going on about. And I've got to say, if this was your first experience in the Final Fantasy franchise, I am sorry. I am sorry on behalf of Square Enix. You was not given an easy ride. This isn't. I think at the end of the day, this just isn't how Final Fantasies should be played. You know, this DLC structure works fantastic for a lot of games. Oh, well, not fantastic. A lot of people can say that no game should, but I definitely think there are some games that are way more suited to DLC than others. I think that Final Fantasy is always going to struggle to bring DLC that people are going to like, because we even had this with 13.2. I think it's simply because Final Fantasy fans, and why you play Final Fantasy, it is to have that full, completed, fleshed out experience, start to finish, and if you come away at the end and you still have questions left, you're not as satisfied as what you are or what you have been previously with other Final Fantasy games. So I think there's always going to be an issue, and I wish Square Enix would maybe see a chart like this, because I think this is the clearest way to show how the other half, and when I say other half, I'm kind of making it sound like I'm not included in that. I am a degree, but like I said, I'm a little bit foot in, I'm a little bit foot out. To me, the base game was worth the price. I think then you included the optional content and the roaming stuff and the freedom you could do. The base price was worth it content-wise. And this is the other difference that I want to differentiate. The difference is that when you look in terms of sheer content, sheer size, I was going to say quality because you could still argue about the quality, and I definitely think that was an issue. For example, optional content being things like gathering quests, gather mushrooms, gather toads, gather traps. That is trash content. And when that was in 15, I was really not happy with that. If they'd have made every single piece of optional content in some cool way, and it could have been minor, you know, it's really not that hard. For example, the traps, it could have been Corleonis who gave us that, and Corleonis was doing it because he was trying to catch a certain something, to turn it into a something weapon, to have his role, to give it to Noctis, you know what I mean, to expand his role. You can always tie in quests some way into the story, and I feel like gamers, especially, if they're given a quest that has no relevance to the story or anything that's going on, it just seems totally dumb Kind of even dumb for the heroes. You know, what the hell are you doing? Or I've got to say, Tidus pissing off and playing Blitzball throughout 10. Well, actually saying that even that, they kind of made it so you couldn't do it at certain important times. I think more than anything, it was the story. You know, when you're able to complete in 25 hours, and so much of it isn't story related. That's why I always say, in terms of content, I think that 15, the base game, certainly wasn't worth it for just the story, for the fleshing out of characters. Hell no, I have maintained that point from the start, and that is why it's kind of hard not to agree with people that things like the season pass that had pivotal story elements, how Ignis went blind, who the hell is Prompto, you know, things that in any other Final Fantasy, if you hadn't have learned the core story of one of your main characters, you'd be like, what the hell, man? What the hell? So in terms of actual size, I think the base game was worth its price. You know, you could do hundreds of hours of stuff. I feel the same for the season pass. I felt it for Comrades. I also now feel, you know, looking at this Royal Edition, not worth $20, but I'd happily pay out another $10, but that's me personally. And I don't think any game should ever have to have somebody shell out close to $100 to experience the full story. But moving on past that, because that's just dwelling on the negative, I definitely feel it needed to be acknowledged, the issue I have going on here. That's why I wanted to do this video, and I definitely acknowledge there is an issue. But let's talk about the Royal Edition in a bit of a better light, if you will permit me, without dislikes. What could happen in this story? So I've got quite a few tabs open here. This here. So it's going to be, we don't know the price yet, but it's going to be chocked full of loads of new bosses. Cerberus, who came back from Kingsglaive, and he kind of looks a bit demonic, so I'm thinking that Arden may have resurrected him. Arden brought back Ravus from the dead, he brought back Ifrit from the dead, it looks like he's now bringing Cerberus back from the dead. What Arden can do, I mean, yeah, he's basically a necromancer. Or the Star Scourge has given him basically the powers of necromancy. But looking at this, if you will notice here, and I was pretty hyped when I saw this, Doom Train has always been a questionable summon in this game. Down in Piteos, the wall that's coming is very clearly hinting of Doom Train. And Piteos as a whole, the meteors coming down where they've landed over Gwale, Ifrit throughout Piteos. And it kind of, the story in Piteos seems to seem that Ifrit found Doom Train, piggybacked on the back of it to whatever location, you know, be it the underworld. If he actually went to get that lady who was chained up, and I've always said I think Doom Train plays a role in this story, especially when you even look at the fact that the Lucii ring is exactly the same as the FF8 one, and in FF8 that ring summons Doom Train, and even the description is so cool. It's about a royal family from eons ago, or an age ago. A royal family once used this ring, so that was a really cool tie-in. So we've had these lots of little details of Doom Train. It was even in the Amano artwork. He looked like he was there. And now when you look here, I could be totally off. We definitely could. We have been before. But it says here, under the section of new gear and new bosses, what that? Now, I think that if I look very closely, does that look like a maw with like some sort of fire in it? Like you could see that these might be the eyes. This could be. This could be a Doom Train. This could be the new boss that they're referring to. Oh, that would be so awesome. And leaving that there, so another point I want to talk about is it looks like an Insomnian invasion is going on. We're going into the city. Arden was there. You had the demons kind of charging up. It looked like a battle scene. And when you even look at King Noxus, he's got all of his Kingsglaive, all of his Hunters. Now he's got some manpower. So can we expect some sort of climactic battle to be going down here? And in a battle situation, it seems that Arden, he's bringing everything he can. So all of the most powerful things that he's brought back. Omega that's coming through the portal, which I believe is actually the FF5, the FF5 Omega. I said FF6. He seems to be coming through like a portal. So whether Arden is opening a gateway, like an interdimensional portal that's allowing that Omega weapon through from the multiverse, again bringing back Cerberus. And if, you know, knowing that Ifrit is Arden's master, well, actually that's the interesting thing. The Ultimania says that Ifrit is Arden's master. That's what it still says to this day. And that's kind of curious detail that Ifrit is Arden's master, when we then learned in the Summon's backstory, Arden resurrected Ifrit and corrupted him for his use. That would kind of imply that Arden was the master. But regardless, part of this whole journey that Ifrit went on, like I said, it could have been Doom Train. So is this another one of the creatures, monsters, bosses, badasses that Arden has brought back for the final fight? And even if we just look at the final fight, so we of course saw Luna, and I'm going to quickly show that shot again. Luna's feet, the way she's looking in there. Well, no, what they told us about that Oracle's work is never done. And just looking at the Final Fantasy franchise, I'm beginning to feel Goddess Luna. Dawn Goddess Luna, I think that she is ascended to goddess level, and that would be badass. Maybe they'll go for that plot point. The fact that Noctis throughout this game has been getting called the Dawn King, the Son of the Dawn, the Bringer of the Dawn, all these Dawn references. If he's the Dawn King, I could easily see Luna being the Dawn Goddess. The final point of speculation that I would like to speculate about this DLC is one of the things that I've been looking at throughout this game. I think there's definitely some merit and worth to it. If you've seen my Bahamut is a villain video, if not, I'll leave a link in the description. I've done similar ones for like Shiva. I've definitely, obviously Leviathan, I think we can tell she's definitely a douche canoe. Shiva definitely had a shady ass past and what Titan's role might have been in it. So basically all of the people that we've, or beings, entities that we've been kind of told and portrayed as good guys, I've kind of been thinking, it don't seem like much of a good guy to me. And part of that was also the Lucii. When you look at some of what the Lucii might have done or what they've been involved in, and I've been kind of suspecting how good a thing that is, especially when you look at the main Lucii guy, the kind of, he seems to be like a leader. The way he talked to Nyx, he talked about humans in a almost disgusted, you're worthless beings kind of way. So whether there was some sort of corruption, the Lucii aren't as good as we think. I think we definitely know that one of those Lucii is Ardyn's brother, and he must have been a son of a bitch. He betrayed his bro, and he caused all of this. So to see Noctis fighting the Lucii at the end, could this be part of the rumours? Could this be the story flip? I remember seeing a rumour back in the day where somebody said that Noctis would have to work with Ardyn to fight against his ancestors. Totally speculative rumour I heard back in the day, but I heard it and I thought, that would be pretty cool, you know. That whole nothing is either good or bad, only thinking makes it so. That was the Versus 13 motto. So, you know, tragedy and betrayal was going to be a huge center of this game. And they even told us many times that Noctis was going to be betrayed, that this game was going to be about betrayal, and that never really came through. I guess the Ardyn betrayal, because of course Ardyn gained their trust and they followed Ardyn questionably, the Chancellor of Niflheim. So yeah, they got tricked and betrayed by him. So could this be it? Is this why he's fighting the Lucii? I really hope so. I hope they go that juicy and off the path, and I hope it's not an alternate reality, but maybe a version where Ardyn has come back again, and maybe that is the case, because Ardyn, before he died, remember, he said, what are you going to do? You're going to put me back to sleep again? I'm definitely butchering up that line. It was more than that, but implied that Ardyn could be coming back, that he might not have been completely finished, and definitely the ending of episode Ignis, the alternative ending, definitely implied that we didn't know whether Ardyn was truly gone or not. The Dawn came back, but we never saw them actually beat Ardyn. So imagine if they went in there and they actually had a conversation, and that leads to this, and then it leads to a point where Ardyn, or Noctis realizes that Ardyn might not be the true enemy, and basically that the fight against the Lucii, the Kings of Yore we're seeing in the trailer, if that's actually a real fight. Now, there's all the chance it could be one of those classic you have to prove yourself battles, you know, every Final Fantasy summon gave us, even in 15. So it could be one or the other with this Kings of Yore battle. And finishing up real quick, so this is the Versus 15 rumour, and I've had so many people ask me to cover it, and I slightly covered it on my Cydia stream last night. I won't cover the Final Fantasy VII one, so you don't have to worry about that, but if you're interested in Versus 15 leak, keep watching the video. This is just one of the many leaks that we've been having right now. A lot of them have originated from 4chan. I don't know if this is the same case, where certain Square Enix employees have come and dropped information. Now, I know immediately what most of you thinking, 4chan, leakers who don't even say they are, I ain't gonna believe it. It's all bullshit. We have to acknowledge that it was on 4chan that the entire story of 15 was leaked before the game came out, and that turned out true, and we've had various other leaks that have actually come to be true, but this one does sound so far-fetched and beyond possible, and that this is basically a Versus 13 fanboys wet dream. The Versus 13 petition groups, they're still going, they want it back, they want it remade, and this could be any single one of those, trying to build the hype, trying to get people excited, get the petition pushed. Now, I don't want to say that accusingly, I could be completely wrong, but let's jump into it. So Final Fantasy 15 will be rebuilding retelling an alternate version of 15. Now they say that this is going to be around about 2019, with FF7 Remake, when that comes out, that'll be early 2019 according to this, and around that time, so will this Versus 15 rebuild retelling alternate version come. It'll be set in an alternate reality. The events of 15 will be implied to be nothing more than Noctis's dream. And that's why Noctis is shown sleeping on his throne. Obviously the logo switched to that. If they did that, if they undermined everything that happened, you know when you make a joke at the end of telling a story, you know, you say, and then he woke up from the dream, and everyone goes, oh, you fucking twat. You just ruined your whole story, so nothing had significance, nothing had meaning. I mean, I guess you could argue that Noctis's dreams are more than dreams, and he actually has control over them, or he learns from them. They empower him, they embolden him. No, because his 10 years in the crystal, well, technically I guess was all a dream. And maybe if they ever did do a versus 15, I definitely think if they ever did it, which I'm doubtful of, but if they did, it would be via some sort of dream story or plot point or plot device, because versus Noctis, he was falling asleep left, right and center. They talked about dreams, and some of that did exist, you know, into the Platinum demo, where Carbuncle said, no, you can actually die down here. This isn't just a dream, this is more than just a dream. I can't remember what the name was. I think it was Eyes to See the Dead, or Eyes to See the Light of Waning Souls. Versus Noctis supposedly got that when he came near to a close death experience as a child. Now they kept that aspect, they kept that Noctis came close to death at the hands of the Marolith, so maybe. So the world will be entirely explorable this time. Remember the map model shown in one trailer? That will be Versus 15's world map. Insomnia will be present and fully explorable. You'll be in it as the invasion happens. Other cities and areas that were initially planned but never made it to the final game, like Gralia, and the Kingdom of Solheim, which is loosely based on the Middle East, and the capital of Tenebrae, are now all explorable. Solheim, Gralia, and Tenebrae all explorable. Man, it is very hard to believe, but it would be cool. I don't know if I would like this. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this so far. The plot will be completely rewritten from scratch and will feature all elements Mura wanted in it, like Stella. The eyes that can see the light of expiring souls. The country of Solheim and so on, while everything related to Kingslave will be completely removed. You can tell I haven't even read this far, so I'm kind of uncovering this as I go. The battle system will be way more Kingdom Hearts-like it was in Versus, but we'll still keep everything we've seen in FF15, like warp strikes, counter parries, and so on. Also, there'll be a counter switching, like shown in the earlier Versus trailers. There'll be a gambit system. New summons will be present, including Fenrir. I guess he means Fenrir, not Fenril. Fenril sounds like some sort of sleeping drug. Phoenix or diarrhea tablet. Odin, Alexander, and the Major Sisters. Ifrit, Bahamut, and the Knights of the Realm will be summonable this time. Luna will not be present. Stella, however, will return and will be a playable member for almost half of the entire game. Also, some particular missions allow you to use some guest characters like Core, Cindy, Arane, and so on. Etro will be the last boss. You'll fight her in overtly spectacular Final Fantasy inspired FF7's last boss. There's also a bunch of alleged details on FF16, yada yada. Nah. If I'm wrong on this, I will gladly eat my word and say, yep, I was wrong, but I do not believe that for a second. For a start, this is a shit load of work. Because regardless of how they redo Versus 15, one thing they're not going to do is graphically downgrade it. And when they've had issues just to get the 5 summons in that we have, and they have been demonstrably hard work, to see them adding all of that, to see them adding something that's going to basically contradict the entirety of Final Fantasy 15, you're going to contradict Luna's character, completely sell her out under the bus for Stella for no other reasons. I mean, this would literally be Square Enix saying Final Fantasy 15 was a fail, we should have kept on with Versus 15. I really don't see Square Enix doing that. I don't see them undermining their project like that. The canonicity of their game. I also don't think them putting this much work in for 2019 content makes any sense. You know, people are already starting to get bored. I mean, I'm not. I know a lot of you might not be, but there are definitely people starting to get exhausted with it. I'm not. This game is going on for too long. You know, a year and a half out, people don't want to still be playing the game. And at this rate, it's going to be going on for 2 years. So to now be saying that it's going to also be going on then for 3 3.5 years. I don't think that would work for Square Enix. I don't think that they would make any returns on how much this would all cost. A shitload of money. We're talking about entire new regions, entire new characterizations, characters, plots, story. This would basically be like remaking the game from scratch. Bar having all the assets for it, but that would kind of be like when Tabata came on. Now, Tabata came on, they had a bulk of the assets for the game, but just because you got the raw assets, it still took them an insane amount of time to even get the game. So even if this did happen, 2019, Square Enix have definitely become more proficient in Luminous Engine, but I just smell bullshit. I smell bullshit all over the show, and this is no disrespect to the Versus fans, because a lot of them are really great, and in fact I admire their passion to have this project happen. Like, as much as I know a lot of people scoff at them and go, Yevon fool, it's not gonna happen, you're an idiot for even wanting it to happen. I don't agree with that. I definitely see why some people were so drawn and excited by the idea of Versus and what it represented. I know a lot of people say we didn't know anything about it, how it could be hyped, but I think we definitely did. I think there was a lot of trailers, there was a lot of cool plot elements, and even just the tone, atmosphere, and feel that that game was going to go down. I think we had a good idea of it, and that tantalized a hell of a lot of people. So I understand why they want it, but on the flip side, I'm also going to say, while Versus petitioners, some of them are really great people I love, they are also some of the most demonstrably big arseholes. In fact, I know for a fact, absolute fact, that 2 people from that group have made up rumours. They've made up rumours, they've tried to spread them through 4chan and Reddit, and I have proof of that. I won't show it here because I don't want to get into a tizzy and I don't want to call anyone's names out, or indeed I haven't had permission to show the emails, but I have got an email trail where people basically plotted to start a rumour, to start a Versus rumour, get people excited, get people wanting it, to try to push the petition a bit further. But there it is, guys. That's about everything I can cover in terms of the Royal Edition, in terms of my speculation, my theory. That's my guess for what will happen. And now, totally unrelated, we are going to chill the hell out and just watch this random ass video. So you know that Universal Studios ride coming to Tokyo? We got the Final Fantasy one. They've actually just brought a trailer out. I haven't seen it. I'll probably never experience it. But this Moogle, he looks great. He looks great. Is he a Moogle from the series that I'm supposed to recognize? Like a 7, like is it Stiltskin or something? I don't know. Anyway, let's watch the trailer. Oh, I see Japanese. Si, como? Si, senor. El Samon. Ooh. Okay. So I guess it's going to tell a story on the ride. Like we're going to go get a crystal. And are we doing it on an airship? Oh! I think we travel to all the places on an airship. Oh! Oh! Oh my god, that was Sunleth Waterscape, wasn't it? Riding tugboats. Ah! Battle through Midgar. Surf off the cloud. The meteor coming down! The Midgar highways! Oh, this would be so fun. I might go to Japan just for this. So this is 4D, guys, I believe. I think it's 4D. Well, no, it's more than that. It's VR. So you're going to be actually in it. You're probably going to feel it, see it around you, smell it, taste it. They'll probably squirt you with water in the air. Mog ship. Magitech Observation Guild. That's 14, isn't it? Oh, if only. If only it looked like that. It might do, I don't know. I've never experienced these, Oh, let's look at that bit again. Imagine if there was like, oh, zipping over your head. Oh. Hi. So anyone in Tokyo, Japan, experience it? Let me know what it's like. Is it worth a trip over? Because that looks dank. But there it is, guys. That is the lot. I hope you're all having a great morning, and I'll see you on the next video. Coop, ow!